Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast, where we look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of the songwriter. Each week, we make a connection with a music maker, listen to their songs, and hear their stories. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenahan.
It's always good to be with you. Thanks for checking us out and making the connection this morning. There is so much great talent here in Nashville. Just about everywhere you go, they're playing music, and you're seeing people that are just incredible songwriters, gifted musicians. And every now and then, you run into a special one who is has talent just beyond belief. God-given talent. I dare even say like prodigy. And our guest today is kind of like that. She has degrees in music and psychology. She's very, very smart, but just very down to earth. She has a passion for songwriting. And as a matter of fact, she's written 4 number 1 songs, and we're going to talk about that. A multi-instrumentalist, a fantastic fiddle player who is an award-winning fiddle player. We're going to explore it all, and we're going to introduce you to Lacie Carpenter. Hi, Lacie.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Did I leave anything out?
I don't think so. That was, wow, incredible.
And you teach music too, don't you?
I teach music, specifically songwriting and music history. I'm an ethnomusicologist.
Do you know what? And I wanted to ask you about that. What is the ethnomusicologist?
So, musicology is the history of like westernized music. And we say westernized music, not like Western country music.
Yes.
It's actually, that's the classical form of it. So like Bach and Beethoven. But ethno is ethnic. Yeah.
Sorry.
Is more like ethnic. And we think ethnic, I'm not sure what that means. It's actually the anthropology of music. So we're taking music from the bones, from the beginning of Earth to today, and how it's grown over time.
Wow.
And studied a lot of African tribal music and just really and ritualistic music, and how music is culture and culture is music, and how we are all musical beings.
That sounds fascinating. And, I'm just a history buff. So, we could talk about that forever.
We could. It's fun.
That's pretty awesome. You have a degree in music, though, too,
I do.
right?
I do. Music education, violin performance, and ethnomusicology.
And a degree in psychology?
And a degree in psychology, and I'm working on a doctorate in psychology.
It's going to be Dr. Lacie.
Yes, eventually. It's going slow.
You'll do it. And you're doing some teaching these days, too, huh?
I am. I teach at 3 different colleges, a university and 2 community colleges, and I love it. It's wonderful. I kind of split my time between psychology and music. Hopefully one day it's all just music.
I hope so, too. I think with your talent it will be. You're like me. There's not enough hours in the day. Is there? I don't know. You have time to get out and play. And then I see a lot in the rounds and things. And you keep very busy. So.
I do. Yeah. I'm very blessed. I'm getting busier and busier.
Yeah.
So hopefully music literally just will be my one and only thing.
I think so. Yeah. When people start hearing what a great fiddle player you are in this town, everybody wants a good fiddle player.
I hope so.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You have something in common with our good friend, Mark Allen Barnett. Mark sometimes co-hosts the show, too, and he's been on the show so many times. Mark has a song where he says, you don't choose music, music chooses you. And I've heard you say that music chose you.
I absolutely 1,000,000,000% believe that, because I don't know where it came from. I just know I'm a vessel per se. Like when I play, when I sing, when I write music, I didn't choose it. It came to me. There's no other way to describe it.
Wow.
I mean, my mom gave me like a baby's baby grand piano when I was 4, and then
4 years old.
I was 4.
You started playing piano.
Yes. And now piano and I broke up. Oh,
did you?
We broke up.
You still friends?
We're friends. We're cordial.
Good.
Sometimes I write on piano, but then she gave me a toy violin the next year when I was 5, and that just was like, I'm done with piano. Done.
You were just in love.
I was in love with the violin, and trying to figure out what I could do with it. And I went into classical music, and have a classical degree, but my heart is in every other genre. I mean, I love classical music. Absolutely incredible.
Some of the things I really admire about you, we always talk about how I hate genres, and you span them all.
I try.
You can play anything.
Try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were really into the hair metal bands and.
Yeah. I did play in heavy metal symphonies and bands, and with my 7-string fretted Viper. I have a 5-string. I have a
that is a cool violin.
It's really cool.
Talk a little bit about that.
So it's like a flying V violin, and
Gorgeous.
I have a couple of them. I have a blue one that's 5 strings, and then I have a 7-string one that's green. I call him Finny the Viper. He's the he is the
you name
machine.
all your instruments. I love it.
I do. That one is just it's the monster. It's incredible. For people who don't know what the Viper is, it was created by Mark Wood, co-creator of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, I've known him for a long time.
Have you really? Okay.
Yeah. I played with him a few times. He also does camps and stuff. So I got
that's impressive.
Yeah, I got them over to work with a group of kids that I used to teach over in Texas. So there's a lot of different things that we've worked on together. But the violin,
it's just been your
it
passion.
has a pickup on every single string, and it's just a beast.
By the way, you can see there are videos. If you look up Lacie Carpenter on YouTube, you'll see some really good. I saw one of you doing "Devil Went Down to Georgia."
Yes,
and you know what the thing about Lacie, you are so dynamic on stage. You'll jump around and you'll dance, and you're fun to watch.
Thank you. Yeah, that one's a good one because it was with the symphonic band, so we were doing classical music with "Devil Went Down to Georgia." And with my Viper, so they were playing, and there was actually no other strings there. There were just woodwinds and brass and percussion.
You were the strings.
I was the strings, and it was fun. It was so much fun. And an opera singer was actually doing the vocal portion of "Devil Went Down to Georgia." So I mean, it was out of his comfort zone, but he did such a great job.
Yeah, it sounds great.
He had fun. He had fun.
It looked fun,
It was.
I saw something too about Led Zeppelin Orchestra or Symphony.
I was with the Led Zeppelin Symphony. Again, another thing that Mark Wood did. And we toured. We played everything. AC/DC, Beatles.
Wow. We can go A, B, C, D. I'll go all the way up to Z.
To Z, yes.
Zeppelin. AC/DC to Zeppelin. There you go.
Exactly. That's what we did.
Bach and, from everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And we played some classical music turned into like heavy metal. And I was a soloist with that.
Wow.
Just had a great time. Yeah. I mean, I wore wild outfits. I had feathers in my hair.
You weren't having any fun at all.
Not at all.
I also read that you like, though, in your recorded music and the stuff that you write, like that you like to stay true to country.
I do.
And bluegrass.
I do.
So, and you grew up in Texas, was it?
Yeah. And when you're in Texas, everybody had a fiddle in the band. You
can play in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I really try to stick true to, I guess, my heart and my soul and the stories that come from wherever I draw inspiration from, which is usually just people, and
Absolutely.
growing up in East Texas, you hear these beautiful stories, and I'll sing a couple of the ones that
I hope you will,
that were drawn on other people's stories.
Stuff that you've written, right?
Stuff that I've written, from poetry to, just true love stories. And, I love story songs. I say the word story a lot because that's what I feel like music should be, at least for me. Maybe not other people, but
in Nashville, it's about the song, right?
It is.
The story songs seem to be the ones that get a lot of attention.
Oh, I hope so.
House That Built Me, things like that. Old Red,
yes.
Your violin is Old Red, right?
It is old. Well, it was Old Red. Now it's Stewart.
You renamed it. Okay.
I renamed it because it was Stuart Duncan's old fiddle.
Well, it's sitting right now on our Duncan Fife dining room table, which is every bit a part of this podcast. And I was hoping to pick it up and just demonstrate a little bit.
Sure.
By the way, you were I read Fiddle Champion.
Yes.
Over 500 contestants.
Yes.
Quickly tell us that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So there's two winners of the World Championships.
World Championships.
Yes, in 2008, and I know that was it seems like a long time ago. It was like I was a kid. I was a child.
As a kid, you did this.
I was a kid, and I mean I was a little older than a kid.
Did I say prodigy? My God, that's amazing.
And there were so many incredible fiddlers at that particular World Championship. And there's two winners. There's the World Championship and People's World Championship. And I won People's. That means I was voted upon by not just the judges, but the people who were there and other fiddlers. So to me...
Your peers.
My peers.
It means the most.
Means the most. And plus the judges did get a little bit of a vote there. And the thing about a a fiddle contest is they can either range from 3 judges to 5 judges. And these particular judges, thankfully, I sort of semi-knew them. And they knew me. They know I'm an interesting, different fiddler, to say the least. I have a tendency to move a lot when I fiddle, and I've even, like, knocked over the microphone.
She does jump around. It's high energy.
It is.
You really feel it when you play.
I do. I'm like, I can feel it right now.
I'm just really curious. How do they do a fiddle contest? You know,
yeah.
It's not like devil goes down to Georgia.
No. It's very traditional Texas style fiddling. So
you choose the music?
Sort of. Mm-hmm. So it has to be a breakdown, mm-hmm. and a waltz, and then a tune of choice. So the breakdown could be something like Blackberry Blossom.
Okay.
So that's a sort of like a quote unquote hoedown esque, but that comes from the Celtic world. Yeah. That has been brought over to America and then changed over eventually. You know, we talked about ethnomusicology is coming all the way from the Celtic countries, whether that's Ireland or Scotland or even, you know, Canada and England and Nova Scotia and all the things like that come over to America. Mm-hmm. It's changing, even if it's in New York, and then it changes over to Texas when people are immigrating, and then it changes into something called Texas style.
Okay.
And you have to have at least a guitarist and a bass player, or 2 guitars. I usually try to do 2 guitars and a bass. Gotcha. You have to have an accompaniment, and you know, you ask around if you don't already have it. You're like, hey, can you play this? And then you practice, and then you go up on stage
and you do it.
Wow. And then you have to have a waltz, so something slow. They started to do waltzes probably. Don't quote me on this. I don't know. A little bit after, like, the Texas style contest were in like place, because they were like, everybody can play fast. Can you play slow?
Really?
Yeah.
Now I would think it'd be just the other way around.
No, everybody's playing fast. They're like, okay, we know you can play fast. Can you slow it down and be calm? Oh, boy. And waltzes are my thing.
And the feel. You know,
the
have that
feel.
Yeah.
And
I can see. Yeah.
Things like
give us a little example. Show us a little bit. Do
you want Stuart something? There. Do you want something like Faded Love, or do you
give us a little style of both? A little waltz, a little fast. Yeah.
Sure.
Like that, so
let's see. So that would be like something like Blackberry Blossom. That was just a little snippet of it.
Yeah.
But then we can't play a show tune, because that's like, we can't play like Boil Them Cabbage Down. That's a show tune. You can't play Cluck O' Hen. Those are all, Gardenia Waltz. Can't do that.
It's funny, we were on my radio show today, we were talking about Hank Sr., and he recorded, on this day in history, we're recording this in December, he had recorded Lovesick Blues, which at the time was a show song. And they're all going, no, Hank, you don't want to do a show tune. So, yeah. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. And
show me a little bit of, like Faded Love.
Yeah, let's do Faded Love. It wouldn't be, proper for a contest, but this is a good old, being from Texas, Bob Wills is still a king.
He's still a king, right? That's right. Oh, yeah.
Something.
I think this is the first time we've had fiddle here around the dining room table. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I'm glad to be the first, or maybe the second. I don't know.
No, I think you're the first. I believe you're the first. We've had mandolin, we've had bands, but I think the first fiddle.
Wow.
It's beautiful. What a beautiful instrument.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Musicologist. When did the twin fiddles start? Was that a Texas thing too?
That is a bluegrass thing.
That's a bluegrass
That's
thing.
That high and lonesome sound.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, did they play in octaves then when they did that? It was always so beautiful.
So it would be, it wouldn't be just octaves, so it's going to be more like the fifths or the thirds.
Oh, okay, so it harmonizes.
Yeah, it harmonizes because it's more like the voice.
Okay.
So if we're going to have a 3-part harmony in vocals,
right, then
you want it in your instruments.
Wow.
As well. And
very interesting.
It was actually created by Roscoe Holcomb. He was a banjo player, and he had this, if you think about, not just Roscoe Holcomb, but if you think about Oh goodness, the father of bluegrass.
A.P. Carter? Oh, Jimmy Rogers?
No. In my brain, it just went poof.
Father
of bluegrass.
Oh, you're talking about Bill Monroe.
Bill Monroe. Thank you.
Okay,
wow, I
sorry.
see him in my head, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Lost the names. I'm terrible with names, but yes. And you hear him, and he has this really high voice.
Yeah, high and lonesome sound.
High and lonesome sound, and everybody comes around him and starts doing the lower, the third and the fifth, lower. Sometimes there's a seventh above him, and that's where the high and lonesome sound started.
Wow.
It can also be where, like, if you go to old hymnals and you see there's not 5, lines on the staff. There's just 4 and 3 spaces. So then they had these shape notes.
Okay.
So that's also where it came from.
I just talked about shape singing, All right, I got another fiddle question.
Okay.
Before you put that thing down.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about the Viper with 7 strings,
Yes.
and fiddles have 4.
4.
Right? So tell me, what do they do with the other 3 strings?
Our lowest string on right here is the G.
The G, okay.
Right? And then we go down to an F, or a B flat, actually, to an F. So that's as low as it possibly can go.
Okay.
And then we have a C, an F, and a B flat.
Okay.
So the next one.
And the mandolin's tuned the same way, right?
Yes, the mandolin's tuned the same way, but of course it's doubled.
It's doubled, yeah.
It's doubled, which is really cool. I didn't bring my mandolin. I didn't even think about it. But yeah, we have the E, A, D, G. Our next would be like a viola, so it would be a C.
So it goes down. You're going lower.
It's going lower. And you can go lower than a bass.
No kidding. So it just gives you more to work with, right?
More to work with.
More tools in the toolbox.
Yeah. And mine is fretted, and you play on top of the fret, unlike a guitar. You play on top of the fret.
Now that's that just opens up a whole new can of worms. So you play on top of the fret.
On top of the fret. And
a guitar, you play between the frets.
Right. And it's not like where, you know how they're raised, more so on the guitar. These aren't as raised.
They're flatter?
They're a little bit flatter. Now, you can also get them shaved more. It really depends. You can get them custom. Mine was Mark's old, Viper, so he just passed it on to me.
Wow.
But
dang.
This one, you can get them shaved all the way down. You can just get the lines if you want. It's really just up to you.
I never could understand how fiddle players could figure out where to put their fingers with there's no frets there. How do you know where
your ear?
By ear.
By ear.
See that? Yeah.
We had to go through something, those of you who have gone through music school or even just like one semester of like aural, we have to go through aural skills. AUR. Aural skills, where we have to listen to something and write it down.
I got you. So you could hear a note and go, that's a G.
Pretty much.
Love it.
It's
perfect pitch.
It was tough.
Very, very interesting to me. Very interesting to me. Fretted. And unfretted. I know a lot of people are playing unfretted basses now.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see. Well, neat. And changing up on you right now. Thank you for being
you're good. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely amazing. Guitar. When did you pick that up?
Ooh.
You played fiddle. Piano was your first.
Piano was my first. Then fiddle, or violin. I'm doing air quotes.
Classical music, right?
Classical music. And then 15, I started fiddling because I was slightly bored with classical music. And then my mom was like, you really need to start doing other genres of music. I was like, that's a sin. But once I drew my bow across playing, I played Cotton Eye Joe. There was a Cotton Eye Joe. Yeah. I was like, this is it. This is who I am. And then I started playing the guitar when I was in college the first time. And I was going, I cannot figure it out. And it took me 2 years to figure out.
Really?
I was going, what in the world? And you know how I started to learn? I took private lessons. Nothing was working. I got a DVD.
Really?
And
How to
DVD, put it on my laptop in my dorm room. And wow, I was like, oh, I can play the C chord. Awesome. G and A minor. And then I started to learn a Dolly Parton song.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
I can do this with hardly any chords. And that's what I just stuck with, was 3 chords the whole time.
You say that's all you need, right?
Yeah.
That and the truth.
That and the truth. And then eventually I worked at a place called the Gladewater Opry. It was the longest running Opry in the state of Texas.
And there were some videos of that.
Yes, there are on YouTube. And I worked with them for almost 10 years. And that's where I learned to really hone in on my skills, not just guitar or songwriting or singing, but really performing. And just getting myself more out there on a stage. And it was every Saturday night. And it was...
That's where you'll earn your chops, I really think. Doing it live, learning how to handle yourself in front of an audience.
Yes, yeah. And we did. We had a good following. And then my heart was going, I gotta go bigger. And of course, I was teaching, I was going, I'm telling my students that they need to follow their dreams. And here I am not following my dreams.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, I'm getting to play a little bit, but I'm not following my dreams. But yeah, to go back to the guitar thing, is when I was in college. It was about junior year of college. And then it just sort of like, blew up.
And what brought you to Nashville?
Music.
Music City?
I was playing on a yacht in Florida.
Wow.
And this woman who she hired me to play 2 songs. That's it.
2 songs.
2 songs.
On a yacht.
On a yacht in Florida.
Oh, wow.
In January.
Great work if you can get it.
And I hadn't played yet, but I was on, I guess, I don't know, I wasn't inside the yacht. I was outside the yacht. I don't know how to...
Veranda.
The veranda. I don't know. I've only been on a yacht once. And I was just looking around, and I had my fiddle in my hand. I hadn't played yet. And I went, this is what I should be doing right now. This is
the
what...
epiphany.
Yes. And I called my mom and I said, I'm quitting my job and I'm moving to Nashville.
You coming?
And I finally got her out here.
Yeah, you did.
But
she's a wonderful person.
Oh, she's awesome.
Enjoyed talking to her and meeting her.
Yeah, thank you. She's incredible. I'm glad she's here now.
Hi, Mom. Hi.
Yeah, hi, Mom. And she went, as long as you can figure it out monetarily. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to, but I will.
We're going to make it work.
And we're going to make it work.
Yeah.
And I resigned from my job. I continued through the end of the semester. Of course, it was May, by that time, and put in my resignation and found a place to live. And bing bang boom.
Bing bang boom.
July 4th, I moved.
Wow.
Up here.
How long ago now? How long have you been here?
It'll be 7 years.
7 years.
Coming July 4th.
Wow.
So 6.5-ish.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
And you've made a name for yourself in this town. Pick up that guitar and let's talk about songwriting. You have a passion for songwriting.
I do.
Yeah. When did that start for you?
Writing in general started far before violin.
Really? No kidding.
And I've been writing and I love poetry and stories and scripts and books and all the things. And that's another thing. I'm a published author and I have a couple of books out there, and I need to get my poetry published. But songwriting started with poetry.
Started with poetry?
I was about 8 or 9.
Good place to start, yeah.
I was about 8 or 9 when I started writing poetry and stories, and I was going, but I want to figure out how I can put it to music.
Yeah.
And I really didn't know much about it because growing up in East Texas, great, incredible place. There's not there wasn't a songwriting teacher at the time. I think there is now, but and I was going, but there's just there wasn't access to a lot of that stuff, and thankfully they're doing more and more of that today in the East Texas area. Yay!
NSAI out there yet? Nashville?
No, unfortunately, but they do have the Texas Songwriters U. They have some really good teachers and good just advocates for Texas music, especially in the Austin area. Of course, big time. It's more red dirt, but they have their flair. I love it. It's incredible. But I tried to figure it out my way, because my heart at the time when I was 8 or 9 years old was with Tom Waits.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Love Tom Waits.
My favorite song was "Shiver Me Timbers."
Oh my!
But it wasn't by him. Written by him, but not his version. But it was by Bette Midler.
Oh yeah.
And I love Bette Midler. And I love Alison Krauss, and I love all those people.
I also hear you love Burt Bacharach. At a very young age, you saw him, and he really influenced you.
Yeah, there's a story with that. I was 9 years old, and my mom had gotten us tickets to see Burt Bacharach at the Cowan Center, and that place is very special to me. And he was playing. I don't even remember the song he was playing, but I remember what I did, and I screamed out, "I'm going to be you when I grow up." And he didn't stop his show or anything. He did, I think he might have waved at me. He was like, "Okay, kid." But people around looked around and moved around, moved away from this weird kid who was screaming that they're going to be like Burt Bacharach.
Oh, you're showing him now, right?
Yeah, almost. I'm so close. No. But that's where I fell in love with songwriting,
Really?
is with Burt Bacharach.
Well, that guy's a great songwriter.
Yeah. The fact that he was still writing and, getting his stuff recorded at 94 years old, right before he passed.
Some of the most beautiful melodies that we have today came out of that guy.
Incredible. And I going forward, I co-wrote a book called Profile of a Hit Songwriter.
Really?
And it was published by Hal Leonard, so you can
look it up.
Look it up, please. It's awesome.
Great.
It has interviews of big time hit songwriters, from pop to country to jazz, you name it, and producers of yesteryear and today. And
I've got to get this book.
Yes, and Burt Bacharach said yes to a phone interview.
And you talked to him.
And I talked to him.
Wow.
I got to interview Burt Bacharach, so that's like a highlight of like my life, my career. And
definitely going to read this book. Tell me again.
A Profile of a Hit Songwriter.
Profile of a Hit Songwriter.
It's a psychological take on hit songwriting, and like really what it takes. But it really, even if you're not into songwriting, but you're a musician, or you're in the music business, or just if you want to read about really cool people in the industry, get the book. And you can see what it takes to make it in any business.
So what does it take?
Well, I don't want to spoil it.
Give us a taste. This is the Songwriter Connection, so it's very important. I have to
There is one specific thing that tied everyone together.
Cool.
I'll just go ahead and you'll gather it if you read it. Mm-hmm. But it's faith. Faith. Some sort of faith. It doesn't have to be a specific faith. Mm-hmm. Whether it's, God or some form of divine entity, the earth goddess, I don't care. It was some form of faith. Mm. Whether it was faith in a spiritual being or faith in just yourself. Mm-hmm. It all came back to faith.
Wow. Very interesting.
Whoa,
Very interesting.
And from Burt Bacharach to Ted Perlman to Becky Buller, from...
And a lot of that too is faith in yourself as well.
Exactly.
That you can do this. So you talked about being the vessel and that it comes to you inside. And I've heard a lot of songwriters say that. There's this creative universe out there that just opens up and you to it. And to me, and some have called it the Akashic Record, but to me, I think what happens in the music industry is... a lot of times people will have the same ideas. They'll get the same flow. You know what I mean? They're on the same channel, if you will. And I think that sometimes that's why that happens. Not so much that people are stealing from other people, but they're getting that same kind of spiritual flow.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think anybody goes out there. I mean, there might be one or two people, that go out there and like, oh, that's good. I'm going to take it. Yeah. But I think really they're inspired by it.
Yeah.
You think about, Wagner, and then we think about Star Wars. Uh-huh. Well, they sound a lot alike. If you want to just, check out Wagner's music and then think about Star Wars, right. the main theme, whoa, they sound an awful lot alike. Yeah. I don't think anybody was plagiarizing or stealing. I think they were just inspired by it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's okay.
Wouldn't you like to study that sometime?
Yeah.
And really see, about that inspiration, how it works. And
absolutely.
And can anybody tap into it? Is there, do you, now to get into the mood to write, is there any rituals or things that you do to kind of tap in, or what do you do?
It really, sometimes it just hits me upside the head.
That's me sometimes.
Yeah. And that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I really just need to sit down and write, and I'm going, nothing's happening. What's happening? I go into a dark room, pitch black, as black as it as dark as it possibly can be, and I turn on my amplifier and let it buzz, and I stare at the little light. And I get in, and because it's so dark in the room, and there's only this one light, and you hear the zzz, of the electric, of that amplifier. It gets you into a very dark, mood. Not necessarily mood, but like a mode almost.
Almost mesmerizing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And you hear that drone, and you're going, okay, what can I draw out of myself?
Yeah.
Because it needs to be from the deepest part of you, the very core of you. And sometimes nothing comes from it. And it's okay, but I write no matter what. I'm writing.
I think that's so important.
And it might not be anything, but one word might turn into something the next day.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah.
Driving really helps.
Driving helps me too. Yeah. Drone of the wheels or the engine. Yeah, that same thing with that hum that you talked about.
Exactly. It's that drone.
Yeah.
And just being around other people, other songwriters.
Oh, I think
other songwriters rounds
so
are
important.
Very inspiring.
I go to the rounds. I like to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I get there early and I stay late. That's why I post on Facebook or social media. I'm like, come early, stay late.
Exactly.
Because you're going to be so inspired.
Yeah. Absolutely. Inspiration. Well, we've talked a lot. I'm going to take a little break. And when we come back, we're going to hear some of these Lacie songs.
Fantastic.
Right? All right. Don't go away.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection, connecting with music makers and hearing their songs and stories. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
I'm totally enjoying talking with Lacie Carpenter, our guest today on the Songwriter Connection podcast. By the way, if you're listening on YouTube, hey, click and subscribe if you would, so you don't ever miss an episode. I know we're not a video podcast as of yet. Still talking about it, but I'm a radio guy, so nobody needs to see my face. But anyway, like and subscribe if you will, because it does help us. It does help us. We're now over 500,000 worldwide streams, and that's all because of you spreading the word, and I appreciate that very much. Lacie, you have written 4 #1 songs.
I have.
Tell me about those.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so
wow,
two of them are very, very pop. And pop.
So there you go.
Ooh, pop.
Spanning the genres.
Yes.
Love
and then the other two are sort of like pop gospel.
Pop gospel.
And even though I don't really put them in gospel realm, I think they can be more inspirational.
Gotcha.
So the first two were done by a girl. She's originally from Ireland, actually, and she lives in L.A., in the area. She moved to Nashville. She's back and forth, but her name is Josie. Capital Z-I-E. And she's fantastic. Pitched these 2 songs to her. I wrote the lyrics to them. They're co-writes. And one's called My Lucky Song. There's a story behind that. It was right after, the world shut down. And
COVID song.
Yeah, it was a COVID song. And I was going to my first gig after the world reopened. And it was here in Nashville. And I had heard throughout the day 3 times my personal lucky song, which happens to be Tiny Dancer by Elton John.
How about that?
When I hear that song, good things happen.
Yeah.
So that day I had heard it 3 times. So if you listen to this song, now it is a very pop.
Wow.
It sounds very European because she is European.
Yeah.
And so it's this, heard my song 3 times today, knew good luck would come my way.
Wow.
And that's literally the first thing that I was I wrote down.
That's cool.
And I texted a writer, and I was like, oh, this would be an idea. And we sort of put it together. And then the other one was called Perfect Enough. And this idea that when we look in the mirror, we see that we are perfect.
Yeah.
And we don't have to be perfect. We're just enough.
Wow.
The other 2, now these are what I claim to fame, World of Hope. And that was by Billy Gaines. I also wrote the lyrics to that one. And Billy Gaines, that was his second one that he'd done by me. But the first one, this is the one that I love. I love is There Will Come a Day.
Wow.
And Ukraine was really, all that going on was really weighing me down. And I didn't really know what was going on, but I was like, it's a song is a brewing, a strong is a brewing, and I couldn't figure it out. And I woke up at like 4:30 in the morning.
Really?
And I had all these words, and I typed them up on my phone while I was in bed. And by 5:30, I had this song.
Wow.
And I was and then I didn't believe that I wrote it. So I called my mom and I was like, I'm going to send you some lyrics and you're going to tell me if I wrote this or not, because I don't know.
So you're like half asleep?
I was half asleep.
Wow.
And sometimes I don't trust myself. And I was like, this is too good.
Yeah.
This is way too good. Did I write this? And within less than 3 weeks, we had
vessel thing.
Yeah, that vessel thing. Yeah. And within 3 weeks, we had it in a production. And Billy Gaines, who's an incredible vocalist here in Nashville.
And these are out there. Folks can look him up.
Oh, yeah. Billy Gaines. Yeah. He's out there. He performs a lot. He's mainly like gospel pop. But this is inspirational. I find it more inspirational. And that is the one song. I mean, they all went to number one, but that one stayed number one for 4 weeks.
Did it really?
It did.
Nice.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. Those are just, wow, the other two, by Josie, they're fun. They're fun, especially for kids. They're good danceable songs for kids, good exercise songs.
Really?
They're really good,
Very cool.
But the other two, those are like, wow, where did they come from? Thankfully, I know where they come from. For me, it's God, but I'm a vessel.
Yeah.
It could be the earth goddess, We're all like air.
Let's open up that vessel and hear a song from Lacie Carpenter.
All right.
Today. What do you got? Story behind it too.
Let's do this one. I'm inspired by Bruce Springsteen. So.
Oh, he's always been one of my favorites.
I love him. One of my favorite songs is called Jungle Land.
Oh yeah.
So this is about a mixtape.
Good.
First kissing that summer wind, baby, all on my skin, strawberry wine. Oh, you look fine. You smelled of Old Spice. Send me straight to paradise in that gray 68 Chevrolet. And I hope every August you still remember me. You were my heartbreak remedy. You were the only one that was ever worth falling for, with the radio blasting, sparks of magic, holding hands, singing to our favorite band. We were kids in Jungle Land. Kids in Jungle Land. Your Marlboro smokes, we were both flat broke. We lived on caffeine and gasoline. We found coins in Coke machines, threw them in lakes that held our dreams. We were just a Route 66 flame. And I hope every August you still remember me. You were my heartbreak remedy. We're the only one that was ever worth falling for, with the radio blasting, sparks of magic, holding hands, singing to our favorite band. We were kids, we were kids, we were kids in Jungle Land. Kids in Jungle Land. you still remember me. You are my heartbreaker remedy. We're the only one that was ever worth falling for. With the radio blasting sparks of magic, holding hands, singing to our favorite band. We were kids, we were kids, we were kids in Jungle Land. Kids in Jungle Land. I hope you kept that Chevrolet and play your Springsteen mixtape. Kids in Jungle Land.
That's nice. That was me. That was my song. Right? I was Kid in Jungle Land. Love Springsteen. And most of the time,
incredible.
Mine was either a Ford or a Dodge, but
Yeah.
most of the time that's what we had going, And I
Yeah.
grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, so yeah, that hits. I think as a songwriter, when people say that to you, that was my life there.
Yeah.
Then that
That
means
just
a lot.
that really just makes my day.
One of those payday.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Because sometimes
Amazing song.
you think, oh, I wish I could make money off of this, or I wish I could do this, but then when you have someone say that, another songwriter say that,
Oh.
someone in the
Yeah.
entertainment industry, you're like, that's
Yes.
my life. Okay, that's more than a paycheck.
Yes.
Can I pay my rent with it? No, but that makes me want to write more.
Doesn't it? It does inspire you to write more.
It does, and you're like, oh,
That happened to me last night in the round I was in. I had a legend songwriter said, "Man, I love the stuff that you write." And I'm like,
yeah,
"You said that to me?
I know.
You're talking to me?" Somebody behind me, right? So yeah, it is. That's payday. Yeah.
It is payday.
It's validation for what you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was playing over at Donna Chappell's jam.
Yeah.
And
I've heard a lot about her. I've not been.
wow. Like, I mean, she's a legend right there,
Yeah.
been singing with Tammy Wynette since she was 14 years old.
Right.
And she comes up to me and she goes, "You're a pro." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, right.
me?
You
Are
are.
you sure?"
No, yeah, but you are.
And wow.
Absolutely.
I mean, again.
I knew it for the first time I heard you.
Oh, thank you.
Just awesome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Do you do a lot of co-writing?
I do a lot of co-writing.
Did you in Texas or
Not really in
until you
Texas.
came here, right?
Not till I came here.
It's a Nashville thing.
It is. It's really nice. And, the first time I ever co-wrote was with a friend of mine, Becky Buller. She's in the bluegrass realm. So if you don't know her, definitely check her out.
Yeah.
We performed a few times together. And I've known her about 10 years. We wrote a song. It was a story song. It came from a dream. And it was called...
Wow. I got one of those too.
Yeah.
My dream. Yeah.
It's called, it was called Man of the Ranch.
Wow.
And we've been pitching it. We're just for...
Sounds like something for Yellowstone to me.
That would be fantastic. Yeah. I mean, people are like, oh, but a girl's singing it. But I was like, you never know. Yeah, at the time. But if Daly and Vincent's...
There you go.
I would love for them to sing it. We'd love to get that one cut. But that's a beautiful, folky, bluegrass. It could be any genre. Yeah. And it's a story song.
Yeah.
It's a sad one. It's a sad one. It's about a young boy about 14 who lost his dad. And he's sitting under this oak tree and he's watching his mom, basically bury his father, her wife, her husband. And she is pregnant. And so he's trying to figure out what to do and how to become this man of the ranch, because he knew, his dad knew that he was dying, and he said, "You're now the man of the ranch."
Ooh.
And
now you set it up so perfectly. Can you play it?
Oh no!
No. See, I always do this. I always get myself.
I haven't even played it in a long time.
But is it out there? We can hear it.
No, it's not.
Doggone it!
I
One
know.
of these days, you owe
I know.
me a song.
I do owe you that song. I do. You know what?
I gotta hear it now.
When we're playing the next time together,
we got a round coming up.
We got a round coming up, and I'll play it then.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
We'll play us something else.
Play us something else.
Tell us another
my
story.
Goodness. Oh,
tell me a story, Lacie.
I'll tell you a story. Okay, so grew up in East Texas. You know that.
East Texas. Tyler, Texas.
Tyler,
right?
Texas.
Yeah.
Home of the Roses.
Yeah.
And I used to go, every single Saturday. Well, it was Friday. It was Friday nights from coming home from college. I went to Stephen F. Austin, go Lumberjacks and Nacogdoches. I was a Lady Jack, so Axum Jacks.
All right. There you go.
I bleed purple. But every Friday there was a jam. And my mom, I didn't have a car because why? I didn't need one. Mm-hmm. And my mom would pick me up on Fridays and I'd go to this jam in Sackle, Texas. Now you think, where's Sackle, Texas? Well, that's just Lucas backwards. There was one in Reclaw too, and that's just Walker backwards because they're brothers. And there was already something called Walker, Texas, and Lucas, Texas. So they just switched them over to Sackle and Reclaw.
Texas education.
Texas education.
Yeah.
And I would jam. It's a
whole other country.
It is a whole other country. And I would jam with some of the greatest musicians ever. And that's how I started to learn.
Better, right?
That's how I learned.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, I was going from classical music school all week and I was going, you know, but I have stick it to the man syndrome, so I had to figure it out. And so I did graduate with that degree, but then I would go every Friday night and I would jam. And sometimes they'd have jams in other cities like Tyler. Mm-hmm. And I found this man who's an older gentleman. And I know when I say older gentleman, I was, 19 or something like that when this happened, but he was definitely 80 plus. Ah. And he was sitting under a tree. Here we go with the sitting under the tree again. And he was drinking a glass of wine, interestingly enough, and he was singing.
Wow.
But he was singing Amazing Grace. And I was going, my curiosity peaked. And I was going, what in the world? And so little Lacie over here is walking toward him. And I want to know why he's singing Amazing Grace under a tree drinking wine. I mean, can't you picture that? Yeah. And that memory is just right there in my brain. And I had to do a gig here in Nashville called Songs of the Spirit with Richard Trest, and it was over at a church. Richard. Yeah, Richard. And I was like, I'm going to have to write a song. Like, I'm going to have to write new songs for this because I don't have a lot of spiritual songs that I personally sing. Mm-hmm. And I was struggling. I don't know what I'm going to write. I don't know what I'm going to sing. I have no idea. So I started to think, dig into my brain about memories, and this memory came up, and that's how I wrote this next song.
Anxious to hear. What's it called?
It's called Amazing Grace, Feed My Faith.
Oh, yeah. I like that rhyme. Thank you. Feed my face, feed my faith.
Yes, not my face.
I love it. Let's hear it.
There was an old man sitting beside me, singing Amazing Grace. He didn't even look at me, just kept a smile upon his face. I asked him what he was thinking while singing that lovely hymn. He finally turned to me and said, "Life's a wonderful film." And I picture my wife, she was born in June. Oh, how she loved that song, she even sang to the moon. I still see her singing in the light of the stars. She'd feed my faith with amazing grace. We were out in East Texas where the roses grow so nice. He told me of a better time, then took a swig of his wine. He said, I went through war, but losing her was worse. How I get through my days is singing a lovely verse. And I picture my wife, she was born in June. Oh, how she loved that song, she even sang to the moon. I still see her singing in the light of the stars. She'd feed my faith with amazing grace. Now picture my wife, she was born in June. Oh, how she loved that song, she even sang to the moon. I still see her singing in the light of the stars. she'd feed my faith with amazing grace. Now every time I have a bad day, I think of that old man singing Amazing Grace, how he fed my faith with amazing grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
Amazing. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing Grace.
Thank
Amazing
you.
song.
Thank you.
I've totally enjoyed our conversation.
Oh, me too.
I'm just reading some more of these things. The winner of 12 East Texas Music Awards.
Yes,
12.
12.
Including Fiddler of the Year 2012 through 14, and then again in 16 and 17, and in 15. And then you were Fiddle Champ, World Champion Fiddle Champ at quite a young age. Very accomplished musician, author, songwriter, and such valuable information today.
Oh, thank you.
I think we could do another hour easily.
Easily.
You're going to have to come back. And
I will.
Usually we make
Thank
room
you.
for 4 songs on this, and we just had a wonderful conversation.
We did. I loved it. I loved every moment of it. Thank
Yes.
you.
And same here. And I hope you at home did as well. And I hope that you'll join us next week for more of the Songwriter Connection podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Lanahan's Nashville Connections radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.